Guides are perhaps the most mysterious position in Tower of God. Even in today's Tower of God explained video, there's only so much I can explain. Overall, we really don't know how guides are able to do the things that they do. We're only able to deduce some of the things that they do. Or I guess a more accurate way to describe it would be what they're capable of, because guides are insane. The tower would not be the same without guides, and even though we don't know that many guides in the story thus far, they have made such a gigantic impact on the story and are going to continue to, that it's really worth breaking down and figuring out. If you like Tower of God content, then be sure to subscribe, because we're on the road to 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year. That is our goal. The year of the Bonehead.
Join us.
So a good starting point to figuring out who guides really are and what they're capable of is hearing some words from SIU and how he describes it, and hearing how some of the characters in the story describe them. Han Sung-yu described a guide as the ones who are blessed by the tower with the knowledge of all the paths within, to assist in its navigation, and at times are even able to foresee the future and change it. This is when he's introducing Hwaryun to Rachel in chapter 77 of season 1. So right away, we see paths, navigation, future, change, the tower, blessed by the tower. So it's obvious that these guides are extremely close to the mystery of the tower, right? They're the only ones who are able to sort of get through the thick of the tower and figure out some things that no ordinary people would be able to, even irregulars, right? Guides are so special that even regular guides, like guides who are regulars, are absolutely vital and essential, which is why Hwaryun, as a regular, or someone of a regular's caliber, is so important to Fug. Continuing along the line of navigation and paths, SIU once described guides as like a human GPS, which is honestly a perfect way to describe them. A lot of the times we see guides in this story just basically say, okay, we gotta reach point B, so here is the best path, right? They're able to figure out the shortest path. We see this during the Hell Train and many other times throughout the story. You're not supposed to be able to reach this destination, but because guides can see all of the options, all of the paths, right? Figuratively and metaphorically, they're able to help their team, right? And then their team is able to go down that path. It's very mysterious. We don't really know why or how, but all we can work off is they are blessed by the tower. Just to continue off of that point of guides being absolutely insane, Hwaryun once told Kun, "I can go anywhere. I'm a guide after all." So it's can they really go anywhere? And the short answer is yeah, they can. Hwaryun failed the tests on the second floor as a regular, but then just kept climbing. She was like, screw this. She doesn't care. It doesn't matter to her, right? She didn't care if she passed because she knew she could just keep climbing anyway. Guides are capable of practically going anywhere. Now, that doesn't mean they're absolutely invincible, but it certainly does seem like it. Essentially, guides just have this crazy intuition and are able to deduce paths, sometimes the future, right, and are able to deduce a person's capabilities. They have excellent intuition and analysis skills. So we see that Evan was trying to analyze Bomb. Now, Bomb was an irregular, so he's kind of different, but even Evan was able to see the path that Bomb had to take to defeat the white steel eel, right? And he didn't think Bomb was capable of it because someone can only walk the path of a guide if they're capable of it, right? It's not like a guide can see all the paths, but it doesn't mean that a person is capable of it. So he didn't think that Bomb was capable of doing the path of beating the white steel eel, the one that he saw where he goes in the mouth and blah, 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 but Bomb did it. Evan saw that path, which is why he stopped Yuri. He was like, wait, hold on. Give it some time, hold on. So it's really interesting. They basically they see the future. They can see the future, sort of, right? It depends, I'll get into that in a second. And they're able to tell people and guide people and try to take them down that path. Now what's fascinating is that guides are not exactly known for their battle abilities. Hwaryun is pretty skilled, right? But she's not exactly insanely powerful or anything. She's decent and she has some interesting skills, especially during the Crown game right at that time. Evan showed that even though he's a guide, he can still pack a punch. It heavily depends on the items that they have, right? So Evan has a ton of items at his disposal, in particular the Frog Fisher, and therefore he's able to fight and assist, more importantly, Yuri. However, even at the start of season 3, we see Evan with a giant knife just slashing through a dude, he can fight. He's a high ranker, like, he can still pack a punch, kind of like Huaruyun can still pack a punch for a regular, but it's not at all what they're known for. They're better as support, helping the light bearer, telling people where they're going. They're a human GPS. And yeah, they're able to solve puzzles, they're able to find hidden things. Again, though, it is harder when it comes to irregulars. We know that So-Oh, who is Kel Halam's guide, doesn't like Bomb because being an irregular affects fate. It affects what they're able to see, and we know that even Kel Halam is all about fate and all that stuff in the future. So, you know, people like irregulars, Rachel even, right? It throws off a guide's ability sometimes. Now, what's really fascinating about this is it's not just irregulars who are able to throw off guides, it's also some other things, like Emily. This machine is so insane. This living ignition weapon is able to change fate. It's a machine, and it alters. It's basically the counter to guides, and it's a little confusing how that works, but guides are able to see fate, and then this variable, Emily, does not play into that, right? So if the machine does play into it, the fate that the guides are seeing in the crossroads, it's not accurate. So that's why Huaruyun, her kryptonite is Emily. What's also fascinating is that guides, as far as we've seen, are two different species: silver dwarves and red witches. Obviously, Evan Edric is the most famous silver dwarf in the current story as far as we've seen, and then Huaruyun is a red witch. We have seen other characters. So-Oh and I are also red witches, and then Allumic Edric is heavily implied to be a silver dwarf. Both of these species have to make a pilgrimage at some point to the 43rd floor, the floor of death, and it seems like red witches even, like that's sort of like their hometown almost, right? It almost seems like that's where they originate from, Galstone Village, right? That's their place of pilgrimage, at least. Maybe they weren't born there, but it is very important to them. And then silver dwarves also have a place, but Evan did state that the place is ruined, and they still visit it, right? It's still a requirement, but it isn't, like, active, unlike Galstone Village. Now, what's really interesting is that these two species are actually a little bit different in the way that they use their abilities as a guide. So Evan or Allumic, the silver dwarves, they're able to see crossroads more and futures that are more immediate. So with Bomb, for example, Evan could see the path to victory for Bomb in that immediate future, right? However, they aren't as capable of seeing the far future and fate, quote unquote. So Evan can't look at Bomb and be like, this is what's gonna happen to you in a few years, right? But Huaruyun seems to do that. Red witches are much more capable of seeing the far future, but aren't as able to see the immediate and near future. They're more about the broad future, you know, the long term, but not the details in the immediate future. What's also interesting is that all princesses of Jahad, once they become rankers, can have a guide. And it seems that silver dwarves are more aligned with the Jahad family, and that red witches are more aligned with Fug. You know, because that's what we've seen, right? Huaruyun and So-Oh are working with Fug, while Evan and Allumic are working with the Jahad family. So it definitely seems like those two have their allegiances in some way. Now, there isn't much research on guides in the tower. You know, we're able to find out some things because we hear people talking about them, but there isn't any research or writings that are done on guides. And the reason is that it's forbidden. The workshop does not allow you to study and research the position of guide. Now, that could be because of its mysterious nature, right? Like, there's so much we don't know about guides, and they seem to be so closely connected to the tower and the mystery around the tower. But there's also a theory that it's because Gustang, Pobedao Gustang, wants to be the one to make discoveries on guides. We know that Gustang, it's in the lore and everything, really is interested in guides. You know, he knows a lot about the tower, he knows a lot about Shinsu, and he wants to do research on the position of guide, which I think is hilarious. I would love it if it was like he put a ban on anyone else doing this studying because he just wants to do it himself. That'd be hilarious, but one way or another, there really isn't that much we know about guides because it's forbidden. So all we know is that Huaruyun, So-Oh, and all those people, they're able to see the future, see crossroads, see paths, they're really smart, and they're kind of OP. Let's be real, they're kind of OP. That's really all I have, guys. Again, there isn't that much we know. But I'm assuming that we're gonna get more and more tidbits as we continue the story. I would love to see how guides are so connected to the tower. Are they born that way? They seem to be, right? Red witches, silver dwarves, like what's going on there? So I'd love to find out more. Hopefully we will. But anyway, if we do, I'll probably make an update video. But thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Leave a like if you did. Subscribe for more Tower of God content and just daily videos in general. And I'll see you guys in my next Tower of God Explained video. Take care.